Hi friends, Dean here with Escape to Gaming. It's been quite some time since I've been in front of this old Canon camera here, but I wanted to try to do this several weeks ago in fact, and we just had one problem after the next, and I've just had to focus on, the family and our health right now. But since I've moved here to Idaho, I love the place, great people, but I have had a barrage of health challenges and problems. Starting right after we moved here with the COVID thing. I had COVID twice, had it for 5 months, almost died from it. It was so severe. I was in and out of the hospital getting infusions and tried the ivermectin stuff, and believe it or not, it helped. 5 days, it dried right up. I tested negative finally after 4 months of testing positive and got over it, thank God. Unfortunately, the second time I had it, my doctor was not allowed to prescribe it anymore, or he'd lose his license. So kind of tells you something about that. But anyway, it's been tough. It's been a tough challenge. I was just about to start filming again about a month and a half or so ago, and then my wife got COVID. I've seen her sick 3 times in 29 years. She never gets sick. Just a tough immune system. She's great health. Her teeth are great. She doesn't have near the issues that I have with health-wise. But she got hit hard with it. I mean, it really came down hard. She got a lot of really bad flu-type symptoms and the high fever, the whole deal. She lost her taste and smell, where I never did, surprisingly. But she's just getting over that now and feels much better. It took her about 2 or 3 weeks, and I think she finally tested negative. Then she's just had a lot of kind of flu symptoms that have been lingering, but she's much better. She was in a pretty bad car accident. And again, thank you very much for your prayers and concern and positive thoughts in regards to my wife. I think I posted something about that a couple of months back, and that's been a tough challenge. So we've had a lot of things going on at once. I started a new career, finally left the painting industry because I had to. My doctor says you can't climb ladders anymore. I've got neuropathy in my legs. I can't feel my feet or legs. Sometimes I'm sitting at a red light, and my foot gradually releases pressure from the brake pedal. I don't realize all of a sudden the truck starts moving. Oh shit, I gotta put more pressure down on my legs. It's tough when you can't feel your own feet. So because of that, no more painting, and I tried a project management job and made really good money for a while on that, running paint crews for a big company here in town, and the economy just is flatlined, sadly. And the painting, people aren't spending the money on new carpet and paint and upgrades for their home right now because the economy is shit with the inflation. But I don't want to get into a big political thing on that, but it has not been good for any of us, and we've been hit with the inflation. It's 11,000 more a year Americans are paying for what we paid for just 3 years ago. Now we have to pay 11 grand more. We're spending more than $5,000 per vehicle in gas alone each year now. The gas prices have dropped a little bit since they drained the national fuel reserves that we have, but anyway, that's another rant. But it's just been a tough time for many of us who suffered, with the COVID thing. I know a lot of good friends and family members have gone through it, and health challenges. I got a lot of friends that are older and mentors, people that I looked up to that are 5 to 10 years older than me, and they're all either dead or some of them died from COVID. One of my friends in Vietnam, the Agent Orange, just chewed his spine down to nothing. He may be dead by now, I don't know. I haven't talked to him in a while, but his health, they gave him like 2 months to live, and then he lived for like 6 months when I saw him last. So it's been tough. I've been kind of hanging in there with my friends and family members, have been going through it, and then I get hit with it with a major, $80,000 fusion surgery that I had not long after I moved here. And that's just limited, my ability to climb ladders and paint, and then, like I said, the project management thing. They can't keep people busy. I got laid off with 6 other guys, and so I said, what can I do? The economy is not going to screw me right now, and that's kind of going back to automotive-related stuff, which is my first love. And so I got a great job. It's very fun. I really enjoy it. Very challenging, but unfortunately, it doesn't pay as much. But we have a low cost of living thing here, and all my bills and credit cards are paid off, so we're in a good position. We've paid off more than half of our vehicles. They'll be paid off in just a couple more years. And that's it, and I can pretty much retire. I'll probably just do my artwork and do that. But in the meantime, I got a great job. I can do well into my 70s if I want to, if it comes to it. But anyway, if you've been following my community posts, you kind of know I've had some hard issues. And on September 29th, I just got to work. Had been no more than an hour at work, and I was loading up my truck, my work truck, to go out for the day and make my runs, and I all of a sudden get hit with like a massive heart. It was massive for me. It was actually considered a mild heart attack. If you look at 100 being a major heart attack, they said it was a 37. I test your enzymes in ER, and actually finished working on the section of work that I was doing, and then called my wife up, and I didn't know what it was. I'd never had it before, not like this. And she took me to ER, and they kept me there for a few days, and then they gave me a barrage of stress tests and ultrasound test, and again it was kind of murky. Nothing was really clearly showing what was wrong, with it. And then I finally had my primary doctor gave me a really good cardiologist. I met with him. He said the only way you're really going to know, Dean, is to have an angiogram, where they go up through your arm or leg with a camera. It goes right up to your veins and arteries, and it can see anything. And then if there's a problem, like mild to light blockage going to and from your heart, they can do a stent. They can kind of fish it right up to the vein, as I understand it, and do it right there and take care of it. So I have a couple friends that had the stents. It didn't sound like that big of a deal. They put you to sleep, and you wake up and it's all over. There's really not much pain or anything. It's pretty harmless. So I wasn't thinking too much of it. I said, you watch, I'll go through all this stuff, and it'll all be in my head, obviously, or something. So I was frustrated because I knew that I had something serious with a heart attack, and the chest pains continued. I actually had another 3 smaller heart attacks after that, and it scared the shit out of me. It's the first time in my life since that head-on car crash I had in 2000. For a split second, like one and a half seconds, I thought I was going to die. I saw what was coming and said, oh, that's it, it's over. And when I got that heart attack thing, it felt an incredible tightness in my chest and in my left armpit, and all of a sudden, it's like this, felt like a brick coming up through your throat, up into your, esophagus area, and it closes off your breathing. You feel like you're drowning or suffocating. So you're sitting there frozen, you get this incredible pain and tightness, you can't breathe, and then it slowly starts to ease off, and it really scared the shit out of me. I thought that was it. It's just like that head-on car crash. I said, I'm gonna die right here in a fucking parking lot next to a Toyota truck, it's just not a good deal. So wife helped me through it, went through ER and all that stuff, and the angiogram, anyway, I went in for that, didn't think too much of it, and the doctor afterwards, I kind of woke up out of that light sleep that they put you in. To me, I was out cold, but I woke up, I'm kind of groggy, and he says, Dean, sit up for a minute. I sat up on the edge of the bed there, and he said, you're going to have a triple bypass. You've got 80 to 90% blockage in 2 of your veins and like 60 to 70% in the third one. And he said, you need to have it as soon as possible. He said, that was a warning that you got with that mild heart attack. He said, the next one will be massive. You're very fortunate that it didn't get worse. In fact, but what caused it is that we had a big mezzanine, and I had to go up and down stairs several times to load my truck up with all these heavy-duty, car parts, steering racks and control arms and brake rotors, a lot of heavy shit. So I gave myself a real brief workout called caffeine out on coffee, and that's what did it, obviously. So I was really nervous about this. I've been through lots of surgeries and really bad car crashes and motorcycle wrecks and stuff like that, and I brush it off. I can take the pain typically and go through most of it with, it is what it is. You wake up, you're in a lot of pain, but you'll heal and get over it. But this was the first time where I really got nervous and scared because it's your heart. I have a friend of mine, Steve, in Modesto, California. In fact, I gave him my big analog Sony Trinitron before we moved. And he had one about a year ago. I think it was around a year ago. And he's a young guy, much younger than me, like late 30s, I think. And he had like a 5-way bypass because of, his lifestyle and eating. And I think his dad had some heart problems as well. So I don't know what the initial cause of it was, but he had a serious, surgery like I did. But he was younger and got through it a lot easier. You can see my scar right in the middle. It starts up in here and it drops down to my stomach. And I have 4 holes in my stomach, which are still healing, where they put these 4 big tubes, look like heater hose in a car, going up through your rib cage, and that drains any of the excess blood after the surgery. But anyway, it's been a very painful recovery. So they took me in there, and I was really nervous. I mean, I was on the verge of like a psychotic break. The 2 days before the surgery, and that's the worst part. I had it on November 1st, is like, you know it's coming. It's like a guy that's on death row and they say, okay, you're going to get lethal injection tomorrow at, this time, or a week from now at this time. It's just like knowing that the, doom is coming. And my nerves just collapsed. I was a nervous wreck right before it happened. I think I made a community post about it, about how nervous I was. I had some friends, oh, Dean, you'll get through this, no problem. You're tough, you'll handle it. Let me tell you something. This is the hardest thing that I've ever been through, and frankly, am still going through. So we got the best heart surgeon in the state. In fact, he's the director of the whole St. Al's Hospital, St. Alphonsus or something like that it's called, like a Catholic hospital deal. And he's the head surgeon. He's got his own techniques that he's developed and have been implemented all over the world by other heart surgeons. He doesn't use like wire mesh to put your rib cage back together. He uses titanium plates, so that way your healing is much faster and doesn't have the lingering pain for 9 months afterwards. So he's got a lot of really good things. He also blocked off one of my arteries to where I'll limit the risk of strokes in the future. I won't have to worry about getting strokes down the road. I could still have a heart attack, but as long as I keep everything clean and pure. So anyway, it was really tough. I went in there, my wife had researched the hell out of it. I didn't want to really see any YouTube videos or read too much into it. I knew enough about it. I've had several friends that have had one. One of my good friends had one. Not only did they give him the bypass, but then they amputated one of his legs because he had diabetes. And right after the heart attack, that was the next thing to go. And then he died shortly after that, which is really sad. So he was someone that smoked 3.5 packs of cigarettes a day and drank like a fish. And so to me, I always thought, well, people that are really eat nothing but fast food or smoke and drink, they're the ones that get this. I didn't think, since 2016, I stopped eating. I had a GERD problem back then, and I got off fast food completely. I'll have it maybe 2 or 3 times a year. If we're on the road going on a vacation, we'll stop at a McDonald's or Carl's Jr.'s or something and have a hamburger. And once in a while, it's okay, but I really eat very healthy. My wife cooks lots of fish and steamed veggies and chicken breast, and we barbecue chicken and steak, get lean steaks and make them. So I eat pretty well. I don't eat a lot of red meat. So I was shocked when my cardiologist said, you're going to need this. I looked around the room. Are you talking to me, or did someone else walk in the room? I couldn't believe it. I was just like dumbfounded. So then they put you in there. I had to go down in case there was a cancellation. They wanted me down there at like 6:30 or 5:30 in the morning on November 1st. And then he goes, that way if something happens and the other surgery gets canceled, we can take you right away. So I was scheduled to have the surgery around 11 or 12, I think at noon. So I'm sitting there waiting. That's even worse. And it's like I'm sitting there waiting. They take you in and they put you in this cold room, and 2 nurses, you're completely naked. They shave your whole chest, both of your legs, your arms, everything down. It's just very nervous. I get very... This was the worst thing I've ever been through. My nerves were just a wreck. And I kept asking, do you have just something for my nerves? I'm really having a hard time with this. Oh, no, it'll be okay. Believe me, we'll give you something to put you right to sleep. You'll feel great, and all stuff. So they kind of pushed me off from that. So it was just a horrible situation. I just was not enjoying the whole thing. And then they went to put IVs in both of my arms and my neck. And I'm awake through that, and neither of the nurses can find a vein for some reason, or my skin is so thick they can't get through it and then find a vein. So they're just digging at my wrist, and I'm getting more and more stressed out. This went on for like 40 minutes with these nurses trying. Then finally they got a 4th nurse, a big heavy-set dude came in, and apparently he had really good luck at finding a vein. He found one immediately, like within just a couple minutes. So by then, I'm like a wreck. I'm just sweating profusely. I'm really nervous. I couldn't have any pain pills for like until the 8 o'clock, I think the evening before. So I had no pain pills. I couldn't have anything to drink or eat all night long. You could have like a small sip of water just to take your medication. That's it. They want you to take like 1 baby aspirin or a couple of them or something in the morning with a small sip of water. And that's it. I'm just dying. I'd give anything for glass of water, So hours have gone by, and you're going through this whole nightmare. And then finally, the anesthesia doctor that comes in that knocks you out, they go over all these questions, which are already answered in endless paperwork. and they just said, look, we've got to, we need to know exactly, what pills you take. Do you smoke? Do you drink? When did you stop? I said, God, I haven't smoked since like 1985, or 86. All right, so they put all this stuff down, and they want to make sure you get it right so that nothing goes wrong with it, with the surgery. So shortly after that, my wife's here. She's holding my hand the whole time and trying to, make small talk and trying to take my mind off it, which I appreciated. But it was just a horrible situation. Finally, the anesthesiologist said, okay, I'm going to give you a real strong cocktail, knock you right out. When you wake up, this will all be over, And I told him, I said, this is very important because I've talked with friends of mine that have told me what it's like when you wake up from the surgery. And I said, I know you're going to have that ventilator going down my throat. I said, I'm very claustrophobic. I have a real phobia of not being able to breathe because I have breathing issues, and my COVID and long-haul COVID symptoms have made it far worse, much worse. So, they finally gave me the stuff and put me to sleep. And he just said, well, we have to do what's necessary. Believe me, we'll try to have all that taken care of when you get up. So I'm at a point where I'm having this like a dream. It was hard to determine what was real and what wasn't. And I'm usually skeptical about a lot of supernatural things or these life after death experiences I've seen on TV and stuff for years. And I didn't read too much into it, but I didn't know what to expect when I woke up at all. And I've woken up after quite a few surgeries and a couple back surgeries and other things that put you to sleep, colonoscopy, stuff like that. So usually it's not that big of a deal. You wake up, you're a little groggy, and you're fine, Well, I wake up and they have my hands and feet tied to where I'm flat on my back. It was like a 5-hour surgery. You're on a cold slab with no padding at all. So my back was already killing me from laying for so long on my back on a hard surface. So now I'm tied down. I got a ventilator down my throat. And at first I could see, I felt like I could see above my body and head. And I was in this like a very bright white room, the room that I went into for the surgery, which had these huge monitors and all this computer related stuff and equipment. It's very high tech. It looks like something out of a sci-fi movie. And so when I woke up, or thought I was waking up, that's what I saw. But I saw it from like a fisheye lens thing where it was very distorted. I could see this like a bright white room, which is what I went into before they knocked me out. And I remember being cold. And I could see the doctors, and then I saw more doctors and nurses coming into the room. And I couldn't hear what they're saying, but they're all talking. And something went wrong. And I'm like, I can see it with my own eyes. So I thought, my wife had been waiting in the waiting room for hours. She knew how long the surgery was, and she's like, where's my husband? Oh, he's awake. We're working on it. We want to get him all pretty for you before we bring you in and all this stuff. And she's like hours is waiting, and finally she just said, look, I'm waited long enough. I want to see my husband now. So they finally reluctantly let her in, and she held my hand. Well, you're not supposed to take any pictures in there at all. They didn't want any photographs, no cell phones. Well, when no one was looking, she took a couple, I think 3 pictures of me laying in bed with the ventilator down my throat and my hands, everything tied. And my eyes were completely closed. I looked like I was just completely out. My mouth was open with the ventilator. My eyes are closed. And I look like I'm like dead. It really looks creepy, the pictures she took. In fact, I posted, I think one of them, one of my last community posts after this whole ordeal was over. And so I went from, I hear things around, now I can all of a sudden I'm starting to hear voices, and they're saying, oh, he's not coming out of it. And I can hear them talking to my wife, and he's, I was out for over 3 hours awake, but not able to breathe on my own. They can't take the ventilator out until you're fully breathing on your own. They basically, they shut your brain off, and they stop your heart. They have this mechanical thing that kind of takes over while your heart's like dead. They pull all the plugs on that so they can do surgery on it. So you're almost, for all intents and purposes, dead. And then they revive you and bring you back to life. But I couldn't breathe on my own. And I remember like it was a moral choice in my head. I felt like I was going to die in this dream with this fisheye lens thing, and I'm seeing everything. It's blurry, everything's distorted, but I hear the voices. Over time, I hear them getting louder and louder, and they're saying, we got to keep him here. It probably will be another couple hours of telling my wife, and I'm sitting, now I can listen to it, and I'm hearing it. My eyes, initially, I couldn't open them. And then finally I was able to open my eyes, and then I could see, and I'm in a different room. It's more dark, not as bright white as the other one was. And I see some of the same doctors, a lot of the other doctors have gone. So I was somewhat conscious through the end of the surgery when it was over, and I heard them discussing slowly as the volume increased that he's not breathing on his own. My wife was freaked out. She's holding my hand. She's telling me, you've got to breathe. You've got to breathe on your own. And they're not going to pull this out until you're breathing on your own. So I'm sitting there for hours, 3 hours. My wife was with me while I'm waiting to come out of it, strapped down, and I started to freak out when I became aware of my situation. And I started praying the hardest I've ever prayed, and I said, God, get me through this. I can't handle this. This is way more than I can handle. And somehow, miraculously, I got through it. So when I finally did wake up, it was the worst pain I have ever felt in my life. Like my back surgery was really bad when I came out of that. It's like 3 times worse than that. Just excruciating pain in your heart, your lungs, your ribs, your muscles. I mean, I can't even describe how bad it was. It was awful. If someone offered me a lot of money to go through this again, I'd tell them to get fucked. There's no way I'd ever go through this again. If I had known what I was signing up for with this, I never would have done it. So I slowly was able to breathe on my own. They gave me I forget what they call it, this breathing thing like I used to wear at night. It goes under your nose and little straps to your face. And it's somewhat forces air in kind of a passive manner, but I was able to slowly breathe on my own, but I still needed to be on oxygen the whole time. So they got IVs in my neck, they got one in each arm, they got all these blood tubes that are tied to me, so I'm like, I ain't going nowhere. You can't shift, you can't move, you can't get on your side, it's like you're permanently on your back. So I spent 6 days and nights in the ICU. It should have been just a couple days. But I couldn't breathe on my own. So they were like watching me. Each night there was like a nurse right outside the glass doors and wall to where the nurse's station was, like right across from where my room was. And I was the youngest guy in there. Everyone else was like pushing 80, 75, 76, 80 years old. I saw several other people throughout those 6 days. And they were in rough shape too, but I was the youngest one in there. And the nurses were like right with a mobile little portable chair and a little laptop were watching me all night because I was at high risk that I could have died. The breathing thing was very touch and go. And then I'm dying of the pain because of my opioid use I've had for so many years. I built up a tolerance and resistance to a pretty strong oxycodone. I take, 80 milligrams a day of that. And so when you have that kind of painkillers, now you need something way above and beyond. Well, this particular doctor doesn't want to give you any more pain pills than are necessary. So every 3 hours, they give me my pain medication based on my own routine. And then they gave me just a little bit more, but it wasn't enough. And they had this stuff that's called, I think, Dilaudid, it's like a hardcore morphine. And at one point, I remember the first night, I just all of a sudden, the anesthesia wore off and I could feel the intense pain, and it was more than I could handle. So they shot me up in the neck with this morphine stuff, and within like 5 minutes, you don't feel nothing. It's like nothing, you don't feel anything. And it felt so much better. So they said they only can give you that for 1 or 2 nights tops. That's it. They don't want you addicted to it. I already have obviously a strong reliance on opioids since that head-on car crash in 2000. I've been on and off them my whole life, and since the last couple of back and surgeries, and I really should have my neck worked on too. I've just been in a lot of pain, so I take them after work to help me, sleep. And on the weekends, I'll take more of them, as I'm a lot of pain, need to rest so I can go back to work. So years of hard physical manual labor did this to my heart. It did it to my back. I really should have knee surgeries, and my rotor cup on the shoulder is blown out. It needs to be done too, but I don't want any more surgery. I told my wife, I said, just get an easy job that I enjoy doing. It's not too strenuous on my body, and just try to survive with the time I got left, So anyway, I don't know where to wrap this story up, but 6 days and nights in the ICU. They give you a different nurse each 24-hour period. And so they rotate, and so you just get kind of a rapport with one nurse, and some of them would look together. Look, I'll bring your pain meds a little bit early. Don't worry about it. I'll hook you up. Some guys are cool as shit, and then other ones are like real sticklers with, no, you gotta wait, and all this stuff. And so they kept me going for 4 nights. I was able to get the Dilaudid for 4 nights, and then after the fourth day, they pulled the blood tubes out, which is extremely fucking painful. They wedge them between your ribs, and they kind of absorb all the excess blood that your heart's like dumping out, all this excess blood. Your chest cavity's filling up with it, so they need to drain all that out. And then after like 4 days, they pulled the tubes out, which is a very bizarre feeling. It's painful. It doesn't last very long, and then that's it. You feel much better. You're still in a lot of pain, but not that level of intensity. Because I said, what is causing this pain? Every time after 3 hours or so, my pain pills would wear off, and all of a sudden I'd wake up to the pain, and it was just more than I could handle. So the pain management doctor there saw my situation, and she agreed, I'm going to give us the Dilaudid 2 more nights. We're going to, kind of diminish the dosage by the end of the last day, because you can't be hooked on this stuff, So I said, believe me, I don't want to be hooked on it. I just want to get home. I want to get out of here. So I was already worn out. My poor wife is in there every day with me. She's got to work, but she'd come right after work, get off like early, 2 o'clock. She'd come by and she'd hang out with me for the whole night. And I've never seen her more worried. She's pretty tough, German, tough, not as emotional as I am. She handles things much better than I do. And I could see it was really tough on her, because her brother passed away of a heart attack, and he's like 10 years younger than I am. And he was in a coma, and she saw him on the same ventilator, completely out. So she's having like deja vu all over again, going through what she went through with her poor brother. So this has really took her toll on her, and she's been a wreck since. It's been awful. So she was very nice, coming every day. But my work terminated my position. Here I'm in the ICU, and my wife says, "Oh, they sent you an email, and your job is done. You've terminated your position, so that way they can rehire, because they know you're not going to be out of here. You're not going to be well enough to go back to work for some time." So, but no calls, no texts, no nothing. From the first couple of days, I didn't have a phone. I said, just take my phone. I've got bigger fish to fry. I don't need to worry about cell phones. After a couple of days, I could slowly, kind of wake up, and I was had a little bit more agency with what I could do within bed, And so to take my mind off the pain, I told my wife, can you bring my phone in? That way I can, kind of see what's up. And she goes, by the way, you've got someone that keeps calling you. I've already talked to him. And I go, who's that? And she gave the name, but I can't want to say the name because he's a pseudonym, but he goes by the Solid Rev on YouTube. And he's been calling from Florida. I mean, the day I had the surgery, he knew when I was having it. Every single day he called to check on me. And after a few days, I could actually talk to him on the phone, mostly texting, but I did talk to him briefly on the phone. And I thanked him so much. It was so nice. And then my friend Jeremy in Ohio, he started texting me. Eventually, I had friends, the ones that had my phone number would text me. Joe, that's a wonderful game reviewer on YouTube. In fact, I mentioned his channel and my thing going over my favorite YouTube reviewers. He sent me a couple really nice texts. I had a good amount of people that stayed in touch. Solid Rev was really the most consistent. I mean, daily. And I've still been in touch with him. Now I haven't talked to him in probably 2 weeks, but he stayed in touch the whole time. And he said, I haven't been the best friend to you over the years, and I hated to see you go through this, and I felt it's the least I can do. I said, no, you're fine, dude. Don't worry about that. You got your own family and stuff going on. I understand. So it was nice. And through the support of many of you that, whether you did it on my community post, which I did some of those right from my hospital room, or the people that did have my number that texted me, I really appreciate it. It got me through the hard times, just having a little ray of sunshine, So anyway, that's pretty much it. I don't want to belabor the deal, but I went home and recuperated for a couple of months. I only had a short-term disability for 13 weeks only, about 60% of my pay, and that's it. So I had to find another job at like the end of that 13 weeks. They wanted me to stay off from working until May. The 6-month point is in May. And in fact, I can't even get dental work done. I have a tooth I need to have work done. And they said, no, absolutely not. It could kill you. The stuff they numb you up with, it gets your heart racing. And with my heart's not fully healed yet, I could blow it out. I got to be real careful driving. They didn't want me driving for months, but I begged the doctor. I said, look, I'm careful. I need to drive. I said, I can't stay home. I have to work, So I kind of raced through my, what do they call it? rehab, rehabilitation. They put you on a treadmill and they get all these, arm machines and leg machines, and they slowly get you up to speed. You have to wear all these heart monitors all over your body and keep this like a little power pack around your neck hanging in front of your chest. So in case you have another heart attack or something, they want to kind of monitor you very carefully to see that you're doing okay, because when you wake up, you have no stamina. I couldn't breathe. In fact, they wanted me to stay another week in the ICU, but they needed the rooms. And they just said, Dean, look, we're going to have to release you, but we're going to have, by the time you get home, we'll have a guy waiting to install an oxygen machine, in like a hospital bed right inside your room. So Laura worked out all the parts of that. So when I came home, sure, it was there. And then on the way home, they gave me a big oxygen tank so I could sit in the back seat while Laura drove, because if the airbags go off, it could completely kill you, destroy all the work that they had done. So I had to kind of sit in the back seat for the first couple months for driving to doctor's appointments and rehab and stuff like that. And I have to have oxygen while I'm driving. So I have that tank. It only has 4 hours of oxygen, that's it. So I just use that for driving to and from, and I'd shut it off and go right back to my oxygen machine. But I couldn't take it off for 5 minutes. I was like gasping for breath. And so the doctor thinks, the surgeon thinks it was the long hauler COVID symptoms that were lingering on. He said, if you didn't have that, you probably would have recovered a lot better. So it was a horrible recovery, and I'm still in a lot of pain. I come home, I'm in so much pain, and I got to eventually try to get to sleep, because I can't sleep on my back from my back surgeries. Now I got to sleep on my side, but you sleep on your side, the rib cage, the weight of it is like crushing. You get all these muscles and everything that cut through is so painful. So I'm tough. I went back to work early. I told my doctor, please, I'll be careful. I'm not going to be lifting a lot of stuff. I'll try to minimize everything, but I need to get back to work. I'm sick of sitting at home anyway, I just want to get back to work. So he reluctantly finally signed off on, okay, you can go. I think it was 2 or 3 months after the surgery. So, and I've only been at my job now for about 3 weeks, I believe. And it's the same job, but it's for another location. In fact, it's a much better location. Of the 9 stores in this whole south part of Idaho, it's the most successful store. So I went from being at the worst store that was on the verge of like being closed down, because it's been the morale of a pirate ship, horrible managers. They've gone through tons of managers and problems. This store is much better. Everyone there likes me. They're real car guys like I am. So it's a really cool job. And there's a couple other guys that are 75 years old, another guy my age. So I don't feel like I'm the oldest one there, which the last place I worked I was. Everyone else was in their 20s and 30s, and I'm like the old man there. So I'm back to work, and my stamina is slowly, incrementally getting better and better. Now I can walk, across the parking lot at the grocery store without falling down. It's been tough. So anyway, that's it. It's a long-winded story. Hopefully it made sense. There's a lot more I could disclose about it, but I don't want to spend an hour and a half talking about this. But guys, you got to take care of yourself. Watch the fast food, deep fried foods, potato chips, anything that's just like grease will clog those arteries. Now some people have it's a hereditary thing. I understand. Of course, smoking and drinking is not good for you. Each person has to decide, what you can do and not do. I don't drink anymore. I have a beer or 2 on my birthday, and that's it. I don't do any more drinking. I don't smoke weed anymore like I used to. That was a problem too. Years of smoking that had really taken its toll on my lungs. So I'm sure if I hadn't been doing that all those years in California, you can't do it. It's illegal here. You can't get it. You can go across the state line and get it, but it's risky. And I just told I'm done. It was a nice phase for a while, but I need to be drug-free and really try to get over this. I'm trying to wean off the pain pills too. I got completely off the Percocets. Now I'm down to a lower milligram of oxycodone. So it's taken me years just to kind of whittle down. I'm still weaning down to where I can do a minimal amount of pain pills, because I'm going to end up getting early dementia from those and other problems, as well. So this has been a very tough time. And the reality of seeing what you can and can't do. I couldn't even game. I was in so much pain when I came home. I tried to a couple times at like 15 minutes. I was so miserable and so much pain. I just couldn't even focus on the game. So I said, I'm going to wait until it's better. But what I did do is I watched my good buddy Silver Wings 21 happen to do. They had a thing where modern vintage gamer guy that did a whole video on Alien Resurrection. And because he talked about it and how there's this way you can go in and you know, enter into these hidden areas within the game, so you could do all kinds of stuff on the PlayStation 1. This is like a secret tool to do it, kind of like they have with the original Xbox. It's like Splinter Cell. You do that, you can go in and you can mod the system through, but you got to have that disc. Well, the prices of this like went up to 200 and something bucks overnight. Now, luckily, I only paid 10 bucks for this, a mint copy of it. So this went through the ceiling. In fact, so anyway, I watched my good buddy Silverwings21. I've been still in a lot of pain. Well, he was going to do a complete playthrough of this. And I just happened to catch it the first night he started. I go, you know what? I rarely ever watch live streams. I usually don't have the time or the energy to, but I made it a point to watch every single night that he did this. It was so much fun. I felt like I was gaming because I beat this game. This is the hardest game I've ever played. I beat this in like 99 or 2000, whenever it came out, right before the PlayStation 2. I got my PS2. And this was so hard. I had to videotape. I had all the feed, the RCA cables going into my VCR, and then from my RCA VCR to the TV. That way I could, kind of like a PVR in a way. And I recorded my gameplay because I kept dying. I said, so I was like studying, watch the tapes over and over in every level, take baby steps. And I slowly beat the game by studying exactly the patterns and things that would happen and when they would happen. And that's the only way I got through the game. So long before there was even PVRs in gaming, I found my own clever way to record gameplays. So this game went out. Because I enjoyed Alien Resurrection so much, I dug out the old Blu-rays, and it has all remastered Alien Resurrection of this, which I watched, a special version of it I watched. It's awesome. I liked the movie quite a bit. It's a little weird, strange. It's kind of a deviation from the other ones, but I still enjoy it quite a bit. So that really was wonderful. He also did a walkthrough, or a streaming of Duke Nukem 0 Hour on the N64, and I recently got that cartridge, so I was thrilled about that. And so I sat and watched a couple, I think 2 or 3 games I watched, and then every night, sometimes he'd take a few nights off and stream another game, but he really got me through a tough time. So I felt like I was gaming. I was still in a lot of pain, but I don't have to sit and stress and be italicized on the couch with a controller. I can let someone else go through it and just enjoy watching the game from someone else's perspective, which is really cool. So thanks again, my good friend. I don't want to say his name. He's another one that has an avatar, so I don't use his personal name, even though I have it. But thanks again, bud. That really was enjoyable. It was one of the funnest gaming-related things. So I kept watching, gaming news on YouTube and stuff like that. It got me through it, kind of passively, but really enjoyed it. I tried gaming a few times. I bought Dredge, really good indie game. I bought it. They had a digital sale on it. I bought it and the DLC. And eventually I'll get a physical copy of that, which I think they have for the PS4. Really a good game. I started that, a wonderful game, very chill game, great music. It's just very kind of a stylized game artistically, but really cool. And then I bought Weird West quite a while ago, another indie game. And I started that. I've been anxious to play that. It kind of reminds me of the Evil West game as far as the supernatural mixed in with the Old West, but really a cool game. So I started those 2 games, and I haven't gone back to Mad Max yet, but I'm probably thinking about going back to this. And then I also started playing Gears of War, the remastered one, through the Xbox compatibility thing on the Xbox One X. Wonderful games. So I've been slowly kind of getting back into the gaming. I'm debating getting back into, I really want to play, I started to play Far Cry 5 like a year and a half ago, but I want to go back to this and beat it, and then maybe go back and finish Far Cry 4, which I still haven't finished yet. So I've got most of the way through that. I got maybe a third of that left. So it's fun to get back into gaming. I've just been enjoying the gaming news, and we just lost there's some games that have been shut down. Xbox has been closing down some of their stores. In fact, they just took Spec Ops The Line. They killed it all as far as the digital stores. Probably, I think, music licensing from the Hendrix song or something in the beginning of the movie over the credits. They have us probably because of music. But I bought these when new. I pre-ordered the game and got the strategy guide the day it came out. Wonderful game. Now this game went up to like $150 and up. It'll probably come back down a ways, but it's going to be expensive. And that's a pattern you'll see, guys, going forward here. We're going to have a lot of games that are going to be delisted from like Steam or from, the Xbox Marketplace and PlayStation Store and stuff like that. And that's going to drive the prices of the physical games up. Kind of like Wolfenstein from 2009. You can't get that one at all on PC, anything. So if you have an Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3 version, that's really the best way to play it. Around this time, of course, I couldn't leave house. I couldn't drive. My wife was maxed out taking care of her dad. He's going through some health issues right now. She's trying to deal with him and help her mom and then help me at home, sick in bed. So recuperating, it's been really tough on her. So I've tried not to involve her. So I had my friend Jeremy. I said, look, there's a couple strategy guides I really want to get soon. One of them was because of watching that Alien Resurrection. I didn't even know when I played and beat the game that there was a strategy guide. So I said, Bud, can you go down and buy these for me? And then on top of that, there was another new game that I wanted him to pre-order and get for me, as I couldn't get down and get it. That way I could guarantee to get one. It's a very low print run. So he did. He got me a couple. They gave me some gifts too. I'm going to save the gifts kind of for last, but he got me these two. I'll just show these right now. He included a lot of gifts with which I'll show later. So I've been wanting this Dark Watch Xbox 360, original Xbox game, and I believe it was on the PlayStation 2 as well. This is a very cool game, kind of like the Evil West game, long before there was an Evil West. And it's a great strategy guide, wonderful guide, all kinds of maps and secrets to playing the game. And then I also wanted this official Alien Resurrection strategy guide. So in fact, Jeremy liked it so much he got one for himself, I believe. So it's really cool, and it gets through all the levels. Unfortunately, there's no maps in this. I thought there would be, but it does show you, they show like little pictures, as you go around the corner, and when you see these doors open, shoot the alien, or here's some hidden areas and stuff like that. So it's good for that. So I'm kind of getting down to where I don't have a lot of strategy guides that I need to get. There's lots of ones I'd like to get, but I'm trying to go after the ones I really want bad. And these two are it. So Jeremy, thank you so much for helping me get this, and I reimbursed him for the money. And then he also got me some gifts, which I'll show in a little bit. It's the game that he got me. It was The Walking Dead Destinies. Now I know most of you already know. Oh God, that's a terrible, awful game. The game is not that bad. One of my friends, I think it's Rocks176, I think is the name of his YouTube channel. He's someone who's followed my channel for many years, right from the beginning, and he streamed this. Again, another wonderful stream. So I watched, he bought a digital version of it and was playing it. I don't know if it was on Xbox or PlayStation, but I really thought it was a good game. There's nothing broken in the game. It just has I think it was a little rushed. If it had more money, I think it would have been a better game. They had to do like kind of comic book stills instead of having live animation, stuff like that. So they cut some corners at it, but actually the level design and the attention to detail, I have only the first 3 seasons of it on DVD. But this covers actually seasons 1 through 4, where you have the governor and there's a big showdown with the governor by the end of it. I love these first 3 seasons. I would probably like to buy the rest of the seasons, or maybe get a box set of all of them again, and I'll give these to someone. But I love The Walking Dead. In fact, The Walking Dead, what's it called? I'm drawing a blank. My brain, by the way, has not been the same since I came out of the anesthesia thing and the surgery. I'm having real bad, it's almost like dementia. I can't remember shit. What's the name of it? Something Instincts. Walking Dead, Something Instincts it's called. I can't remember the name. It'll come to me at some point. But another game which kind of get a lot of bad reviews, but I really liked it. Quite a bit. So I'm anxious to play this. I want to play this soon too. I'm going to kind of play a few games at once to try them out. But I watched most of his playthrough. I think I had like 2 levels left, which I didn't watch the end of it. But I like to kind of want to save that for myself. But this is cool because you can play as either, so you hit like crossroads within the game, and you can like, when they have the showdown between Shane and, oh God, I can't remember his name, Rick in the thing. You can choose to be Shane or Rick and either kill the other one. So they give you some really interesting kind of moral dilemmas and ways you can choose between certain people, and then you can see how that plays out and playing that character through the rest of the game. So there's some really cool dynamics to the game, which I give them a lot of credit for. It just was kind of poorly done, but there's nothing broken in the game. The game can be played completely from start to finish. There's no like breaking bugs, very few bugs that I could see in it at all. So I think it's a cool game. This is an extremely low print run. So these games like this are going to go up down the road when they're going to be on eBay for big money because they made very few of them. Each, I think, game store got like maybe one copy. That's it for each console. I mean, if you didn't buy them there or pre-order, you're pretty much screwed. But anyway, so yeah, and Jeremy sent me that game with it. And I'll just go ahead and show us. He surprised me with this. He knows I love Star Trek, the original ones. I'm not a big fan of the Next Generation, but I do want to get the Next Generation. They've remastered in like a box set on Blu-ray. It'd be nice because I do have the original Star Treks from the 60s all remastered. So he got me Deep Space Nine Seasons 1 and 2. Really nice, handsome DVD boxes. So I'm actually anxious to watch these. I kind of want to finish going through the Next Generation first and then play these ones. And then on top of that, he sent me a whole bunch of these. He knows I like Game Informer, and for some reason the last year or so, even though I pay for them, I don't get them in the mail anymore. So he sent me the Dead Island issue. He got a bunch of these for like $1 a piece and sent them to me. And some of the other, Evil Dead guy here and other kind of popular issues for the last year or so that I had missed, some of them. So all of these, Psychonauts 2, wonderful game. That'd be one I actually would like to play. I'd like to get the original Psychonauts for the original Xbox. So Jeremy, thank you so much for these. He sent wonderful magazines. And again, he sent them with those 2 strategy guides. So I wasn't expecting all this stuff. It was kind of a nice surprise. But thanks for that. And oh, my good friend Vinny in Idaho Falls, he surprised me. In fact, I got this in the mail. I didn't even know who it was from. And then like a week later, he said, oh, did you get the game in the mail? I go, oh, was that you? I didn't know who it was from. He sent me a brand new copy sealed of Watchdog Legion, which I've never played. I think it takes place in London. I've watched maybe one review when it first came out, but I'll probably sit down at some point and open this up and get through it. I like the London setting. And I think you can go and you can kind of, dress up kind of like Hitman as any one of a numerous characters. I don't know if you take their identity on or what, but some interesting stealth dynamics to it. So I'm anxious to check that out. What else? Oh, my friend Justin in Tennessee surprised me. He was asking one day, this is I think before the surgery or maybe after the surgery, I can't remember. My memory's not been great lately. He said, Dean, is there any pressing games you really want to get that you're kind of looking for? I'd be happy to check. When I go to my game store, I'll see if I can find, one of them. And I said, yeah, one I've been wanting that I just recently discovered and would love to have, if you ever see it, come across it, is The Sopranos Road to Respect for the PlayStation 2, because I love The Sopranos. I have the complete DVD box set of those. And I saw those, when they were new on HBO as well. So it's a great game. I've seen some gameplay of this and reviews of it. It actually is not bad. I mean, it's not a major AAA polished game, but it has a lot of really good stuff in it. I think it has some of the voice acting as well. So Justin, thank you very much for this. This has been one of my kind of holy grails. I've been looking for this for some time now and never find it. So he sent me that. I'm trying to think what else I did. Oh, and I bought, I pre-ordered this and went down to get it. I think it was like right before, like a day or so before my surgery when I could still drive. And I ordered the PlayStation 4 version of Red Dead Redemption. Now, this was primarily a digital thing only, but they have very limited print runs of this, so I had to have one. And I still have my Xbox 360 one that I pre-ordered because I love their Red Dead Revolver so much, and I even have the original thick strategy guide. So I got halfway through this on the Xbox, and then recently, excuse me, I played the first couple levels of this version on the Xbox One X, where it's enhanced to 4K and they've cleaned it up. It looks great. So I started playing it, but I stopped playing it because I want to start and replay it from the beginning on the PlayStation 4 version. So I've already kind of seen the Xbox one. Now I want to compare it and play this one. So this is, like I said in one of my last videos, it was almost like a religious experience playing through this again. It was so wonderful. It brought back a flood of memories of when I was alone and that was the only game I had to play for like 6 months. and got, far into it with a little bit of time I had. Each night I'd chip away at. So I got like halfway into Mexico and the missions down there. So those are it's kind of the last of the games I bought. I really, that Walking Dead game and that Red Dead Redemption Red. I also bought a couple digital games. They had a sale. I got the Dredge game, which I mentioned. I got the remastered, God, what's it called? Another older, very popular game that was on the Xbox 360 digital store. God, my memory's so bad, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm having a real hard time. I haven't been the same since I woke up from the surgery. It's like I'm a different person. It's weird. I don't feel the same inside. My mind has like gone through like some major ordeal, and I have a severe lapse of memory. And the doctor said that's going to be normal because I had a follow-up visit with him. And I told him, I said, I feel like a different person. It's not just physically, but something's changed. It's a very tough surgery. You went through a lot. It's going to take you time to recover. So that's his answer to it. But because of that, I just have these awful lapses in my head. So anyway, if that title comes, I'll tell you. But it's a great game anyway, remastered years ago, and I never bought it. Shadow Complex. That's what it is, Shadow Complex. It was really good on the Xbox 360, kind of a 2D platformer, and they've remastered it. God, a few years back, I just missed the boat on it, so I downloaded that and have it digitally. And there was like one other one I got. Oh, geez, what the hell was it? I can't remember. If I think of it, I'll tell you. But I got a few digital games anyway I bought. Dredge was one of them, and there was one other one aside from the Shadow Complex, but I honestly can't remember. But I got a few more gifts from my good friend Steve. Steve had also stayed in touch quite a bit after the surgery. And he said, Dean, are you okay? How's everything going? Oh, it's, I'm just making the best of it. He's able to get any gaming? And no, not really, And I told him this is a really shitty Christmas, a crappy, birthday, because my birthday is on December 29th, so I get kind of Christmas and the birthday wrapped up in one. But because of this being so laid up in pain at home, it was just like a terrible, thing. I couldn't do it. And then the day before my birthday, my wife was gonna take me out to eat at this great steakhouse, Texas Roadhouse here in town. They have wonderful steaks, and I was gonna get a nice steak and salad as like a treat, celebrate my birthday. And then the day before my birthday, she comes down with COVID, so we didn't go anywhere. So it was a very dismal birthday thing, but Steve kind of made up for it. He knew that I was kind of down and out. And I think he went to a convention they had in town, a gaming convention, so he was looking for hardware and stuff for himself anyway. And he went overboard. And he already had I sent him pictures of my little handwritten list of games I'm looking for the Xbox and 360 and stuff like that, strategy guides, stuff like that. So he already had those. He said, if I ever come across these, I'll get them for you, Dean. And he does. Once in a while, I'll get a game in the mail, and he finds a really cool game or strategy guide that he knows I'm looking for, which is nice of him. Thank you, Steve. I really appreciate that, by the way. I got this big fucking box in the mail. He goes, you got the package yet? I go, what package? Well, he sent me a ton of games. Went overboard. So this was a wonderful birthday, kind of after the fact, because of this, all the wonderful texts I've gotten and the few gifts here and there. At least it's like there's people that care, they reach out to see that you're doing good, and it's very much appreciated. So you get me Gex. I was looking for this for the N64. He knows I love Gex on the PS1. This is another one I really wanted, this Lamborghini game for the N64, so he got me that. And the Wave Race 64 I've always wanted since the game was new. That was one of the games that really impressed me, was the water physics on this one. It was new. So he got me those few N64 games, and he sent some PlayStation games that I have not been able to find. One of them is relatively available, but I just don't come across it very often. But one of them, the first one, is Dead to Rights. Now, I already have this for the original Xbox, Dead to Rights 1 and 2, and then I have Retribution on the Xbox 360. But this game is actually easier. The Xbox one was so hard that when PlayStation had their port of it, they intentionally made it a little bit easier so it wasn't as grueling with the boss battles and stuff. So I just thought it'd be kind of neat to have it. to have this copy of it, to have it on both systems, where it literally is a different game based on the difficulty level. This is another game I've never been able to find. I love like jet skis, and I like the Wave 64 thing. I love those kind of games. And Jet Moto, I played and beat all of the Jet Moto games on the PS1. But this is one I wanted. I've never been able to find it, and it's Jet X2O. Really good graphics for a PlayStation 2 game. It's just a great water game. I don't know. It might have been Metal Jesus might have talked about this. I can't remember. Someone a long time ago, and that kind of got my interest in it. When I got the remastered Grand Theft Auto 5 back years ago for the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, I gave away. I had this special edition version. I gave to my good friend Gary. I think Gary lives in Oklahoma. I think. God, years ago. So, and I, gave him. It comes with a nice steel book and everything. And I hadn't seen this in so long. Let's see if it opens up. Where's the? I can't remember how it opens. Let me see. Come from the bottom. I think this has a. Oh yeah, it does. It has a steel book inside. So, I gave Gary this game, and I think I still have my maps. It comes with like a really cool blueprint map of the whole area. It's huge. I don't want to open it up, but I already have the map. I saved the map. I just gave him like the game case and the game. I think it has a poster or something else to it, but I've always wanted to get it back because, like I said, I went through the period where I was every new game I was getting like Burnout Paradise, the remaster. Okay, now I won't need the 360 one anymore. I was giving them all away or selling them or trading them in at my game store. So I've regretted that now because down the road, I don't know if I can play the PlayStation 4 versions. God forbid if something happens, even though you can technically jailbreak them. So I wanted to get that game back, have the original special edition of it back. So Steve, thank you very much for that. Really appreciate it. Now here's a game that I had for the PlayStation 3, but I wanted the Xbox 360 version. That's Wanted Weapons of Fate. It even had a movie that correlates with this, kind of like that other Microsoft game. What's it called? I'm drawing a blank. But anyway, it's a cool game. Really neat premise. Really good weapons. It's kind of a short game, but it's nice to have this. Thank you, Steve, for this. It's great that he found it. I don't think I've ever seen it. I've only seen PlayStation 3 versions of this, so this is the first time I've even seen an Xbox 360 version of it. This is a game that's factory sealed. Xbox 360. It hasn't got the best reviews, but I liked it. I think Classic Game Room, Mark Bussler reviewed it a long time ago, and that's Mindjack. In fact, it's still factory sealed, even has a little Xbox seal on the thing. Of course, I'll have to unseal it immediately, but this is a game I've always wanted to play. It kind of reminds me of some of those other original Xbox games. What's the name of them? Drawing blanks. Anyway, there's some other kind of mind control games I mentioned recently that I'd like to play of that. So he said those few games. This is what really shocked me is he knows I love strategy guides, and I'm slowly building up my. There's not many left. I mean, I have a couple pages of ones I'd like to find if I come across them, but I'm not hell bent on getting them. But these were ones that I really wanted. That I put like a little asterisk by them on my list. That these are the most ones I'm the most sought after. So, and it completes my Call of Duty ones. I was missing this for the PlayStation 2, which I have the game Call of Duty Finest Hour. This is a great, like a mint strategy guide. So it's so nice to have this. Finest Hour I have. Here's one that I used to have the strategy guide, and my next door neighbor bought me the game when it was brand new, and I went down to the Best Buy and bought the strategy guide when it was still new and available, and that's Call of Duty 2, the big red one. In fact, I just played and beat this game a few years back on my modded Xbox. A wonderful game. I couldn't put it down. I rarely ever beat games anymore. Usually I'll get halfway into them and I get indifferent or bored and want to try something else, and well-intentioned of going back to it and finishing, but then never do. So I believe that I have, Call of Duty 2 and 3 and all the other ones and Black Ops strategy guides, but it's nice that I finally have the last of the early Call of Duty guides. This is one, too, that I wanted because there's a lot of tracks and cars in this It's a really unusual. Usually I don't get racing game strategy guides, but this is one of my favorite exclusive games to the Xbox, and that's Midnight Club. This is the dub edition, Midnight Club 3. I love this game. I played the shit out of it. It even has a version of my Hemi Dodge truck from like 2004 or 5 or something like that, but really cool. It has like the San Diego maps and the Tokyo maps and everything. Really neat. Has a lot of great pictures of cars throughout. This is one of the really nicest looking strategy guides I've had in some time. Really a nice guide. I rarely ever see those. I love the XCOM, RTS game. So you got me this XCOM Enemy Unknown strategy guide, which is nice to have this. There's one other guide that I want to get for another similar game in that same period that I want to get. I have both of the Mercenaries 1 and 2, but here's a strategy guide for the first Mercenaries. Really a cool game. I think you're like fighting in Korea. It's got the voice actors of some big Hollywood actors in it. A very cool game. So I'm thrilled to have this. This is a guide I've actually had hot on my list for some time. I have all of the Ghost Recon games for the original Xbox, and as well as for the 360. And I'm slowly trying to get more of these. But here's Ghost Recon Jungle Storm, and I have this game. So I'm going to try to find more of these Tom Clancy Ghost Recon games. I really love these. They're great games. I remember playing the hell out of them when they were new. This is one that I wanted to play when it was new, but never did. Again, kind of looking at that top-down isometric view, and that's Command and Conquer Tiberium Wars. There's a couple more, the Command and Conquer 3, the Red Alert one I want to get. I might even have the strategy guide for it. I think I have it for it. Then there's Kane's Wrath or one other one. If there's a guide for it, I'd like to have it. So that's it. So you sent me all these guides, which is really nice. It was a really nice little resurgence in guides here, as well as the games. So Steve, thank you so much. That really kind of made my Christmas, which was just kind of laughably horrible. I mean, I made the best of it. I'm happy to be home here with Vinny, and believe it or not, I didn't watch much TV. I did sit and I watched a lot of YouTube videos on my phone, and even including the streaming. One night, my wife was gone, and I put the TV on and watched that Alien Resurrection stream on the big screen, which is nice. But I'm usually happy just to sit on the couch with my little phone, and have it sitting up on the arm of the couch, and I sit and watch it and, sip a soda or whatever. So I think that's it. Those are the games and guides I have. I want to start playing before the new one comes out. I got Space Marines, and then Jeremy helped me find the guide for this maybe a year ago or so, less than a year ago. So this is another game I want to go through soon. What I want to do is kind of go through like 2 Xbox 360 games, which I have an Xbox 360 hooked up here, an E-model, and I have another one out in the garage or my game room. But I want to play this game in particular, and I don't know what else. I'm thinking of some other Xbox 360 games I want to play. So I want to try have 2 that I go back to, and then have 2 PlayStation 4 games. I'll probably go back through this one again, the Red Dead Redemption. I've been tempted to go, completely beat, get all the licenses, hit all the hidden areas and billboards on Burnout Paradise. They have a remastered version of that. I've been tempted to play that for a racing game that I kind of go back to and see if I can rebeat it again from the beginning. And I have some other games I'm kind of deciding. Again, I've got that Weird West. I kind of tried out a bunch of indie games, like play an hour and a half a piece, kind of get a feel for them. They're great games, and I can see where those are going to be much better games, like 6, 7, 8 hours deep into them, because you can put 20, 30 hours in at least that Weird West game. That's a pretty elaborate game. It has a lot of unusual play styles. It's kind of a slow burner where initially you're not going to really get the hook of those games. You see enough to see what it's about, but those games you got to really sink a lot of time into them. So I'm kind of testing a variety of games right now. I'm really seriously wanting to either do Sniper Elite 5 and play it all the way through soon, and then Far Cry 5. And then eventually, like I said, after I finish this, I want to go back and finish the last third of Far Cry 4. And then Blood Dragon I also have. I found a physical copy. It's a Far Cry trilogy. It has like Blood Dragon, Far Cry 3, and Far Cry 2 all in one nice, handsome Xbox 360 game. So that's kind of what my goal is gaming-wise. We've got a lot of stuff that's happening in gaming.
with Xbox now, they're going to start doing some of their exclusives are going to go over to Sony and all this stuff. And it's just a lot of chaos as usual. The fanboys are like freaking out over it, over the Xbox or the other ones. It's one of those things. I'd like to get an Xbox Series X bad. I really would like. It'd be probably the last console I'm going to get for a modern console. And the PlayStation 5 is even more so. I want that because the PlayStation consoles can be jailbroken. PlayStation 3 can be jailbroken. A PlayStation. I already have a PS2 that's modded. PlayStation 4 can be jailbroken to where you can play offline and do all kinds and play all kinds of stuff on it. And then also even the PS5 I've heard can be jailbroken. But the original Xbox you can mod obviously, and you can mod the Xbox 360. But the Xbox One X, the Xbox One, as well as the Series X, or you can't mod them. I mean, you can't jailbreak them to where you can really take advantage of them, play different regions and stuff like that, unfortunately. So my friend Michael has a lot of kind of tech tips. He said, Dean, if they haven't figured it out, modded it by now, it's not going to happen. So because of that, I lean towards the PlayStation games. I try to collect those. I'm getting a nice array of these I'm getting a whole bunch of these Xbox One games. I love the green cases. I love the Xbox name. I'm still a big fan of the Xbox, but I hate to go nuts and buy too many of these. Like I'll buy exclusives for the Xbox One, but I think most of the multi-platform are really going to try to get them in for the PlayStation 4 because at least I know for a fact I can play those forever. If they shut down the servers and stuff for the Xbox One, I don't know that I can play them. From what I've heard, there's not as much data is on the Xbox One games. Most of it you download. So where the PlayStation, most of the game is on the disc. So it sounds like the PlayStation would be the better longevity-wise for the long haul, because they can be modded or broken, jailbroken. It'd be fun to play those, keep those systems going to play them long into the future. I mean, frankly, I don't know if I'll live another 20 years, so I have more than enough games to play. And even if I don't get the new consoles, but with the new Space Marines coming out and the RoboCop game, obviously I can't play that. So what's funny is right before the surgery, I think they had a sale on the PlayStation 5. They dropped the price a little bit. I don't know if it's 50 or $100 or something. So I was all set to get one, and I was going to get that RoboCop game to get the day it came out, and then this heart attack thing happened, and so I pushed that back. This is like $180,000 surgery that I had, this heart thing, with the ICU time, the ER trip, all the medication stuff that's gone with it. It's like close to $180,000. Now, out of that, I have really good Cadillac health insurance through my wife's work. I can get it through my own work too, but it's not as good. And my cost of it was $8,000 that I had to pay out of pocket. So I tapped into my savings. Now we have a health savings account, which I had like $6,400 in that. We kept that just for emergencies. If you ever need a surgery or something, you've got some of the deductible we could draw from that. But I wiped that dry. I cleaned that out and took another couple grand out of my savings account, not my checking, but savings, which I don't like to do. So now I got to replenish that $8,000, and on top of that, I got a tooth that I need to have some extensive work on. That's going to be another $1,000 or God knows how much. So I'm going to have to pay for that too. So the new console thing is off, going to be for a while. I just can't consciously spend money. Even my solid rev, dude, just throw that shit on a card. Go out and just buy one and fuck it. And it's like, no, I know that, but if I start doing that and rationalize things like that, then I'm going to start using credit cards to buy shit with it. I don't want to do that. I'm really that's why my credit score is super. I got like an 818 FICO score, with my credit. I get perfect gold credit. And I have that because I'm very disciplined with the credit cards. I use them for an emergency and then at the end of the month pay them off so I have zero interest. I never pay interest ever. Or I'll switch, use one card and I have 6 months interest free and I'll put that on another card and then until I can pay that off. But I never pay interest. I'm very careful with the money that I have. So I really want to get the PlayStation 5 and a Series X, but I'm just going to have to wait. Maybe by the time, the Space Marines 2 comes out, Warhammer 40K Space Marines 2. That game I'd like to have. I think it'll be out September or something like that. Maybe by then I can get one, hopefully. So that's kind of my goal. And I believe that they're talking about, PS2 Slam or possibly a PlayStation, not PS2, PS5 Pro they're talking about. And it sounds like it's for real. I don't know what it's going to be compared to the PlayStation 4 Pro, but I'd like to get that. So instead of buying the base model, I may wait until that comes out and then spend the money on that. So either way, I'm going to have to wait. So it is what it is. I got plenty of games to play. I might buy a couple games. Some of them they have on the PlayStation 4 and the PS5, and I like those because I can have them now. Like just Destroy All Humans. Initially, that was a PS5 or Xbox, Series X and Series S, 9th gen game only. But then eventually saw that it could be ported. There's a lot of people who would love to play that on the PlayStation 4, like myself. So I pre-ordered and got a copy of that too. That's another very low print run. So it's good to have the physical versions of these games when you can. But anyway, that's it, guys. I've gone way overboard with this vlog. Thank you all for the wonderful text and the beautiful sentiment. I've had so many people prayed for my wife and myself, and over the holidays. Just a lot of goodwill. Hey Dean, happy Thanksgiving. Hope you're feeling well. I get a lot of that from people. And it's just so nice to have the support from my viewers and friends. It just means the world to me. That's really the best part of the gaming community for me, is the goodwill. There's nothing like it. They're the friends that kind of make up for the physical friends you no longer have. Since I've moved here, I'm friends with our realtor and a couple of people I stay in once or twice a year. I'll call them and talk to them or have lunch with them or something. But I really don't have any friends here since I moved away. My friend Steve, and we'd have lunch all the time in Sacramento and go to game conventions and stuff like that. I don't have that here, not now. So my social media through YouTube is really all I have. And I've even had friends that have sent me personal text on the PlayStation 4 and my Xbox One X through there. Even I've got messages and goodwill, which I really appreciate. So anyway, thanks guys this has been a very eclectic, weird, long rambling. I'm sure it's a long ass video. I just wanted to let you know what's going on, and just give you the rundown of what happened to me, why I was gone so long. I've got some really good vlogs I'm going to do. There's 2 of them I have in mind. This was the important one. I want to get this off my chest so everyone knows, and then okay, good, we're up to speed. Now I can get back into my gaming. I have a lot of vlogs. I've had a long time to think about all of this, and I have a whole list of 2 pages of ideas I have for really good rants, vlogs, and gaming-related topics, and I want to share them with you as soon as I can. Plus collection videos and stuff like that. I know you guys like the kind of must-play games that I recommend and stuff like that. Thank you so much for supporting me. It means literally the world to me, and all the goodwill and kindness that you've given me. It means so much. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys and enjoy your games and collections. God bless.